All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Andrea Eckelberger, and I am joining you from St. Paul, Minnesota. Just a little caveat to get started. This is not my normal voice. I'm at the end of a cold. So I'm going to be fine. I have a lot of throat drops. I have my hot tea. I have water. It's not going to be any problem. And I promise if I cough that I will mute my microphone so you don't have to listen to it. So we are going to get started talking about the free resources to train adult ESL teachers and volunteers. I'm really excited so many people have joined and that there's a lot of enthusiasm about this topic. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. All right. So just to get started, like Lindsay said, I worked as an ESL teacher for 10 years. And one of the things when I moved into this position as an ESL training coordinator, where I had the opportunity to do professional development for adult ESL teachers and for volunteers, it was kind of a dream job for me because all of the things that I wish would have been in place when I started teaching or when I had a classroom and was using a lot of volunteers, now I'm in a position to create those resources and put them out there for teachers to use. So that's what we're going to be going through today, is looking at a lot of the different free resources that you can access for your programs from the Minnesota Literacy Council. We're going to be checking them out and having an opportunity to reflect on how you're going to be able to use them. So for this webinar, I'm not going to have a lot of chances to stop during the webinar to answer questions, but if we have time at the end, I'll open that Q&A box and try to address some questions. Also, if you type questions in there, COEP will be able to send me the transcript of the questions so I can respond directly to people by email afterwards. So if you have questions, please type them in and know that I'll get back to you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So here's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to just start by getting everyone on board the professional development bandwagon. We're going to look at a sample training activity, but then the bulk of our time together will be looking at resources for professional development. So getting everybody on board the professional development bandwagon. Thinking about what does good professional development look like? And good professional development has some pretty specific characteristics. It's content focused, and so it focuses specifically on the content that learners are going to be learning in the classroom. It incorporates active learning. It's not just passively listening or passively reading. Supports collaboration so that teachers have the opportunity to work together. Uses effective models of effective practice, and offers feedback and reflection. There's a lot of things that go into good professional development, and the resources that we're going to be going through today have some of those elements, but it's really going to be up to programs to decide how you want to use these resources. So I'm going to show you a lot of different options, and then you're going to decide with your program, are these things you want teachers or volunteers to work on individually? Do you want to form from professional learning communities, some online chats to talk about the resources? You know, the resources are really going to be out there for you to use in whatever works best for your program and to help you serve your learners better. And I want to talk briefly about volunteers, because a lot of times when we talk about professional development, we focus on the teachers. But volunteers really can bring so much to adult ESL classrooms and to any ABE classroom. You know, we have a lot of programs in Minnesota that say, I couldn't do what I do without my volunteers. So I wanted to just briefly go over what do the numbers say for using volunteers in Minnesota. So last time we were able to gather data, there are about 500,000 adults in Minnesota that need adult education and training. And 88% of adults in Minnesota don't get the literacy help they need due to limited program resources. So we are reaching a lot of people, but we're always striving to do more, and programs are always trying to figure out how can we bring more people in and serve more people. And one of the ways that we do that is through using volunteers. So in Minnesota, a volunteer who assists 3 hours a week is going to generate over $3,600 worth of service per year. And last year, volunteers contributed almost $4.4 million worth of time to ABE programming. So like I said, we really depend on our volunteers. And numbers say a lot, but I also wanted to give you a chance to hear what learners said. So I went out to some of our learning centers and I asked learners, why do you like having volunteers in the classroom? And they said, I enjoy having volunteers come to our class because I get more chances to ask questions. The volunteers give their time to help me. They make me remember to care about my education. It is good having volunteers because they help me with how to communicate with new people. I used to be shy when I speak English with other people except my classmates, but since they have come to my school, they are fine by me. And my personal favorite, I learned about the way they talk, like street people. Volunteers bring more presence to the classroom, more opportunities to interact with learners, more chances for learners to speak with fluent English speakers, and more opportunities to build comfort. All right, so we are going to spend just a couple minutes looking at a sample training activity. And I'm going to show you the sample training activity. This is something that we do for all of our volunteers and pretty much all of our teachers that go through professional development in Minnesota. So I'm going to have us move through it, and then afterwards I'll unpack it and talk a little bit about what's the purpose behind this activity. And I want to set the caveat that this activity is meant to be challenging. And it's meant to be challenging because for a lot of people who are teaching in adult ESL classrooms or ABE classrooms, it's hard for us to remember what it feels like to struggle with learning. And so we try to set up situations in training where people have the opportunity to remember, what does it feel like to struggle with learning how to read or learning how to speak? Because often we just take it for granted. So this activity, like I said, it's meant to be challenging, and this is a little snapshot of what we do. We'll try it out. I'll unpack it a little bit for you, and then we'll move on to looking at resources. All right. So I would like you to please read this paragraph, read it to yourself. I would like you to not use anything like a mirror or a camera to look at this in any different way, but feel free to read it in any way you want, out loud, using your finger, but please read this paragraph. All right, about 1 more minute to get through it. All right, and let's look at some questions for this. So here is your first question. A trog grand stags, A, all its life, B, now and then, or C, does not say, or once a year. So maybe just write down your answer, think about your answer. Here's our next question. I'll give you a minute if you can write down your answers for this, think through your answers. All right, and let's look at our final question. All right, let's go over the answers. So number one, trog grand stags, the answer is A, all its life. Number two, what are two things a stag can catch? You can have a number of different answers. You could say glob, you could say orits, you could say little animals, or you could say mice, any two of those. And then the last one, a stag is never broken. That would be C, does not say. The paragraph doesn't tell us what it is. All right, so take a minute and think about when you were doing this reading and answering these questions, how did you feel? How did it make you feel? And feel free to share in the chat box, how did you feel? All right. Can anyone relate to this? So, for a lot of people, when we do this TROGS activity in a training, it is stressful. People get really frustrated, people get stressed out, people complain about getting headaches. I couldn't believe how difficult this was. You know, why would we have to do this? And we always bring it back. And one of the things that we always want to be doing in training is that idea of building empathy. We want to give people, whether they're a volunteer, whether they're a teacher, a chance to walk in their learner's shoes. Because it's really hard to learn a new language as an adult. It's really hard to learn a new skill. Doesn't mean it can't happen, it just means that it's hard, it's difficult, and there can be a lot of emotions that go along with it. So when we challenge volunteers, when we challenge teachers, and give them an opportunity to struggle and feel that difficulty, that really helps develop empathy, which makes people, better teachers and able to better respond to the needs and the emotions of their learners in their classes. So this TROGS activity, it's actually longer, and you'll be getting the handout for the full thing after the webinar. So if this is something you'd like to try, I'd be really, really happy to have other people all throughout the United States starting to use TROGS. We've used this in our training for over 20 years now, and I have people coming to trainings, to some of the sessions that I do, saying that I took this session 10, 15 years ago, and I still remember TROGS. I still remember how hard it is, and that really informs the way that I teach. So you'll be getting that as a handout, and if you email me, I'm happy to share some other suggestions for how you can use it in your trainings. Right, so this brings us to the next part, which is looking at some specific resources for professional development. So for this part, I'm going to be moving back and forth a little bit from our PowerPoint presentation to showing you places, showing you exactly where you're going to be able to find all of these resources online. So first one, we have a free 3-hour online class for volunteer teacher assistants. This is also great for people who are professional teachers who might be starting out in adult ESL. And so one of the things that I really want to acknowledge is the fact that professional development for adult ESL teachers can be really hard. We have a lot of people who might be working part-time, people who might not have a lot of prep time, people who are, already working overtime to try to get their lessons and make sure they're doing the best job they can teaching. So we try to make as much of our resources on a flexible time so that people don't have to always be gathering together for meetings to use these resources. So here's one of them. So I'm going to just show you what this looks like. So it's online.themlc.org. So we're going to actually check out this website. You'll be asked to make a login, and this is completely free. Right, and we're going to look, we have a number of classes, but the one I really want to highlight is that volunteer in the adult ESL classroom. And I want to highlight it for a couple of reasons. This is kind of a great first stop for people who are new to working in an adult ESL classroom or volunteering in an adult ESL classroom. As you can see, we cover a lot of different topics, including roles that volunteers can take on in adult ESL classrooms. culture and diversity in the ESL classroom, effective classroom communication. And just to highlight this, with that, if you go to the where do we begin, and I'm not going to go in and show it, but there's about a 10-minute video that shows another empathy building activity that's really impactful for doing training that I'd highly recommend checking out in there. Error correction and feedback, how to effectively float in the ESL classroom, and then kind of an overall with final questions and going over all of the topics. And people can get a certificate after they do 3 hours of work in the class. So this is one resource that you can use for volunteers. And again, it's also a great resource for teachers who are new to the classroom and are trying to decide, how should I get started?
Andrea, I hate to interrupt you. I just want to let you know that they couldn't see the website. So you would have to stop sharing and then reshare, I think, for your
Okay. Thanks for letting me know. All right, so I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to stop share. And I'm going to pull up that website. And I'm going to reshare my reshare. All right, so hopefully you can see it now.
Yes, we can.
All right, thanks, Michelle. So just to go quickly, very quickly, I won't go through it all the way, but so you can see the floating, the error correction, effective classroom communication, culture diversity, volunteer roles. This is what it looks like, that volunteer in the adult ESL classroom. All right, thank you. So I'm going back to my website. Michelle, would you be able to let me know if there's any problems with being able to see it?
Nope, I can see your certificate up right now.
Perfect. All right, so this is what the certificate would look like, your volunteer's name or whoever completes it. So a way to get some proof that people did 3 hours of work on that class. All right, the next thing I want to show you is Tutor Tips. So Tutor Tips is an ongoing blog that we have on the Minnesota Literacy Council website, started back in 2011. And what it is a conglomeration of lots and lots of different ideas for teachers, for volunteers, people who are working in adult ESL classrooms. So there's kind of 3 main groups of tips. We have a ton of different activity ideas on there. We also have teaching strategies for how to be a more effective teacher, what are techniques that you can use in the classroom, and then a lot of different resources up there as well. So again, I'm going to take you to the website, and this time I've learned my lesson, so I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to go to the Minnesota Literacy Council website, and then I'm going to share again. All right, so here's the Minnesota Literacy Council website. So you can click either on volunteers or you can click on educators. Most of us are teachers, so I'm going to click on educators. Go down to the Find Online Tools, and if you click Tutor Tips, that'll take you to the Tutor Tips blog. So you can, if you don't want to always have to go to the website, you can subscribe to the blog, and if you subscribe by email, what that means is you'll get a link in your email to be able to sign up. So each new tutor tip will be sent directly to your inbox. But as you can see, here's all of the current tutor tips. And then over on the right-hand side, we have all of the tags. So we have beginning literacy, we have all levels, we have advocacy, citizenship, critical thinking. Here's some examples of different beginning literacy activities. So tons of different resources, lots of different activities, things that people can check out if you're looking for activity ideas for your classroom. All right, so I'm bringing us back to the PowerPoint. And we're going to move on to the next part, which is looking at the instructional support kits that we have. So the instructional support kits are something that I was really, really excited about having the opportunity to create. When I had a classroom back in the day in St. Paul, I had a really large class, about 30 students in a beginning level class. And I had a core of between 5 to 10 students who were true pre-literate learners. They didn't know ABCs, they didn't read or write in their first language, and they struggled a lot in class because they were lacking a lot of that basic alphabetic skills. So I would have volunteers come in, and I had a box set up with all of the resources that they needed to be able to do, I think, between 6 to 8 different alphabetics and phonics activities. I would hand them the list of words that we were working on that week, and they would grab the box. They'd grab their group of pre-literate learners, and they'd go to another room, and they spend about an hour doing alphabetics and phonics activities while I would do some higher level work with the rest of the class. It was really successful. All of the learners absolutely loved it. And the volunteers told me how much they appreciated being able to come in, having some control and ownership over what they were going to do. They knew exactly where they were going to work, who they were going to work with, and they knew exactly where the resources that they needed were. And I didn't have to spend a lot of time talking to them about what activities and explaining the different activities and finding all of the resources for them, because they were all already there in that box. And in fact, it was such a good experience that 2 out of the 3 volunteers actually became adult ESL teachers, did career shifts, and one of them, when I moved to Cambodia to be an English language fellow, actually took over my job and just retired this past year. So the instructional support kits are something that's really close to my heart, and I'm really excited to be able to share with you. So what the kits are is they are a download, a PDF download, and you can see the example on this picture of the phonics kit. So it's a PDF download that you can download, print off, and then cut apart, laminate, and then use it over and over and over again. So what the kits has, each of the kits will have the instructions with all of the different things that you'll need to put together for the kit. This is the phonics kit. So it tells you, you should have some mini whiteboards, dry erase markers, some counting markers, a small soft ball or beanbag, all of the things that you want to put together for it. If you are using this with volunteers to do pullouts, you have always have a tutor log. So you can write down, which learners you like to work with, that you'd like the volunteers to work with, if there are vocabulary words, if there are specific activities you'd like them to do, any comments, and then a chance for tutors to write comments back to the teacher. And then there are anywhere between 12 and 30 activities in each kit. This is an example of one of the activities from that phonics kit. So as you can see, each of the activities have very explicit steps, so that somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience with teaching could pick it up. They have all the materials they need, read through the instructions, and know how to lead the activity. So the idea is if you have volunteers, if you have people coming in and doing small group pullouts, you don't have to spend 10, 15 minutes ahead of time going over all of the instructions. They're right there for you and ready to go. So they were originally created for people to do the small group pullouts, but what we found as people are using them is that they're using them in a lot of different ways, not just for pullouts. People are also using them to supplement their own curriculum to get different ideas, activity ideas for speaking, reading, listening, phonics, pronunciation. People are also using them as substitute teacher plans. So if they're out, leaving the instructions and leaving the materials for their sub who's in for the day, and using them to work one-on-one. So a lot of different ways that you can use these kits. We're pretty excited about them. And here is 2 teachers from Minnesota from the Lindale Neighborhood Association who printed off the phonics and the reading kit and are using them. So again, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second. And I'm going to pull up the website, and then I'm going to reshare my screen so that I can show you exactly where to find them. All right, so the same thing as tutor tips. If you can click on the volunteers tab or the educators tab. If you go down under that find online tools, you find the ESL instructional support kits and click on that. And there are those teachers again. So here are the available kits we have. We have the Phonic and Phonemic Awareness Kit, the speaking and listening kit, pronunciation kit, citizenship, and reading. So if you click on a kit, it's just going to show you a very simple form to fill out, and then you will get a PDF emailed to your inbox that you can download, print, and start using right away. All right, so I'm going to take us back to that PowerPoint slides. So let me know if anybody's having problems seeing it. All right, so the next resource we're going to talk about is classroom videos. So this came about because we know that one of the best ways to learn how to do new techniques for how teachers to learn is to learn from each other. But doing classroom observations isn't always feasible. Again, with time restraints, maybe it's a part-time job, or you're teaching at the same time that you would want to be doing observations. So what we did is we went into a number of classrooms and we took videos of adult ESL teachers teaching in a lot of different levels, in a lot of different situations. So we have some at very high videos that were taken in very high-tech classrooms with large classes. We have some videos taken in very low-tech situations where all they have is a whiteboard to teach, doing a variety of different activities, different focuses. So these are all available up on our website. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show just a few clips from a couple of our videos so that you get an idea of what it is that you can see. So I'm going to play the video, and then Michelle and Lindsay, please let me know if there's any issues with this.
What's this? Yeah. What's this? What's this? Chest. Yeah. What's this? What's this? Arm. What's this? Legs. What's this? Back. What's this? Feet. What's this? Good catch. Okay. Students, can I have one teacher come? What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? Some?
Okay.
Oh, teacher Some is coming.
Okay.
Let's listen to teacher Some.
Yeah. What is it?
Stomach.
What is it?
Chest.
What is it?
Neck.
What is it?
Arm.
What is it?
Skin.
What is it?
Head.
What is it?
Nose. Good one. Yeah.
What is it?
Chest.
Some.
Some. Good job, Some. Any other teacher? Toes and eyes and ears and mouth and nose, head, shoulder, knees and toes, knees and toes. Okay, good job. You may sit down. His ears hurts. Yeah, my back hurts. My back hurts. Oh, Sume told me today. Teacher Diego gave me no school. Yeah. So what hurts? My head hurts. Yeah. My head hurts. My head hurts.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop that there. But this is an example of one of our videos from a low literate classroom. So it's a low literate classroom that is working on developing speaking skills. So it's about a half-hour video that takes you through the whole arc of the class. It shows how the teacher gets the learners involved, how the teacher really scaffolds and builds up the learning, and how engaged the learners are when the teacher gives them lots of opportunities to talk. So it really showcases some great skills. And we have a lot of other videos on our website that show similar things. Some of our videos showcase teachers talking about their own experiences and how they teach and do approaches. So I'm just going to show you a really short clip of one of our teachers talking about the idea of productive struggle. So this is another example of a video you could find on our website.
So productive struggle is this idea that it's okay for things to be difficult, for them to take some time, and that a big part of the learning happens when students have to struggle, try again, come up with a new strategy, maybe use some new resources or knowledge from other students or teachers in order to get at what they are trying to accomplish. So when I'm planning a lesson, the first part is I have to plan for that productive struggle, which usually means that I need to plan a lot more time, that a reading lesson is going to take a lot more time because students need time to read a text multiple times. They need time to maybe consult resources like a dictionary or a website, and they need time to discuss and try again and try again and try again. So that's part of the planning process. And then as it's happening, it's also a bit of, you know, as a teacher, learning to sort of sit on your hands, or in this case, keep your mouth closed, long enough for them to have time to really put their thoughts together and try. And then when they don't get it right, to be careful not to jump in with the correct answer right away, or even to lead them too directly to the answer. So it's a strategy that I've developed over time. It wasn't easy at first, of being able to question students along the way. And
right, so I'm gonna keep us moving, but that's another sample where you can hear from some expert teachers about how they teach. So again, I'm going to show you where you can find these because the great thing about the videos is we have some professional development activities that are built in and ready to go along with them. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to pull up that website, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reshare. So same thing, you can click on volunteers or educators. And if you go down to the classroom videos, this is what the web page looks like for our classroom videos. So we have a few options for being able to do professional development, and I'll show you what one of these looks like in a minute. We have the classroom observation form PDF, where people can watch a video and have reflection questions that they can reflect on and fill out as they go. We have our new CCRS and the ABE classroom videos that we're really, really excited about because CCRS is coming. We're all integrating it into our teaching, but there aren't a lot of resources out there for how do we do this with adult ESL students, particularly adult ESL students who are at the lower levels. So we have a low beginning, a beginning, and an intermediate high ESL class that shows a lesson plan, what that lesson plan is going to look like, any handouts that are included, a full video. These are our longest videos, so these are about 45 minutes long, and then video discussion questions that tie back to those college and career readiness standards and get teachers to reflect on what they see in the videos and then how they can do those practices themselves. We have a series of pronunciation videos for teachers who want to learn how to teach pronunciation and integrate pronunciation into their classes. We have featured activities with a series of different activities, videos of teachers doing different activities, so that someone can say, well, I'm going to do walk, talk, trade. What exactly does that look like? How do I want to prepare my students to do it and give the instructions? This shows kind of the whole, what that looks like. And for these videos, we have a full video and we have a short video. And then we have our low literacy instruction. So some specific videos like that building speaking skills, we saw a sample of that video. For how do you work with students who are brand new to a classroom and just starting to develop their literacy skills as adults. Right, so here's an example of what a classroom video observation sheet that you can download looks like. So it has reflection questions that teachers, volunteers can use to think about what they see. The one on the left hand is the classroom video observation that works really well with those activities, with the pronunciation classes. And the one on the right hand is a CCRS, a sample of what the CCRS in the ABE classroom looks like. So you can see that this is a lot more, the CCRS is a lot more in depth and digging into more specific college and career readiness thoughts and getting people, guiding the viewers to look very specifically at those particular skills. So again, these can be downloaded and they can be used in any way that programs would like. You can have people work on them individually, just watching it at home when you get a chance. Pick a video and have everybody go and watch the video, complete the classroom video observation form on your own, and then come back together and discuss it in partners or small groups. Or you can use it as part of an on-site professional development where you show a video, show a clip of one of the longer videos, have some discussion questions that people work through and talk through, and really have some clear guidance on how people can use this then in their teaching. So a lot of different options for these. Right, and I did want to mention some additional teacher training videos, and I won't take us to all of the websites. But if you really like the idea of learning through videos, there are some more places you can go. The Caring Bush Adult Education, this is some colleagues that we know out of Australia who put together 6 really excellent videos on how to teach low literacy learners. And they have specific things like how do you teach writing, how do you teach reading, how do you teach vocabulary. So those are about 20-minute videos that are very, very well done. So I definitely recommend that people check those out. The New American Horizons video were a series put out, I think in 2011, that are teacher training videos looking at a variety of different topics, such as introducing vocabulary, teaching a multi-level class, doing lesson planning, using the whole part whole approach for building literacy skills. Those are about 30-minute videos and have interviews with the teacher along with classroom footage. And then finally at the bottom, the Minnesota ABE Professional Development YouTube channel. So all the videos that we've looked at are actually housed on the Minnesota ABE Professional Development YouTube channel, but there are a lot of other things as well. So they have videos on how to teach writing, seminars that have been videotaped that you can go back and watch for different professional development topics, and more videos on adult ESL classrooms. So all 3 of these additional resources that I would really highly recommend people check out if you or teachers you work with, volunteers in your classroom, like learning through videos. All right, so this brings us to the last resource we have today, which is the Teacher Training Toolkit. So the Teacher Training Toolkit was developed as little kind of snapshots of professional development for volunteers or teachers around specific topics. So what the Teacher Training Toolkit is every one of the topics is going to have a reading. The reading's not very long, 4 to 6 pages. For a different classroom topic. So we have, this one is an example of what giving directions for activities looks like. We also have, I believe, teacher talk, checking comprehension, and there's one more. We'll take a look at it on the website in a minute. So there is going to be a reading, and there will be some reading reflection questions. Then on the website, you can access a video, and I'm going to show you again a little clip of the video so you can get a sense for what that looks like. So here we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Today we're going to talk about the calendar. We're going to use a lot of different words. We're not going to talk about months, but we are going to talk about days today. We have 7 days. 12 months, but today we're going to talk about 12 days. We're going to talk together about the calendar. So we're going to talk a lot of English today. You're going to have two circles. Some of you are going to be on the outside of the circle. And you're going to talk with a friend. You're going to have a word. You're going to ask what the word is, and you're going to spell the word together. Okay, a lot of English. You're going to accomplish a lot of great things today. We've been talking about this, so you should know these words. I think everybody knows these words. So you're going to have a word. Everyone will have a day word. And we're going to stand in two circles. So you will come out of your chair, and you're going to stand in two circles. Some of you are going to be looking out. Some of you are going to be looking in. But you will only talk to one person at a time. All right? How many students do we have today? Students?
11.
9.
Okay. So we will have 5 people in the middle, 5 people on the outside. If you're standing on the outside, you're going to look into the middle. If you're standing in the middle, you're going to look outside. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Let's do it. Yep, so I said you're going to be in two circles. Some of you in the middle are going to be looking out, and the ones on the outside are going to be looking in. So I need 2 of them.
All right, so I'm going to pause it there for a second. And if you thought, that is a terrible example of teaching, you're absolutely right. What we found is when we made videos for how to do teaching, if we only showed good examples, it actually was really intimidating for people because they said, this teacher has so much experience, there's no way I'm ever going to be as good as that teacher. So with all of our videos, what we do is we start out with a bad example, give everybody a chance to reflect and think about what did they do wrong, what would you want to do differently, and then move on to showing the good examples. So I'm going to play just a little bit more so you can see how the good example of this starts out.
Sunday.
Sunday. What is the first letter?
S.
What is the sound? Sunday. Is this a day or a month?
Day.
Day. How many days?
7 days.
7 days. What 2 letters?
TH.
TH. What sound? What day? Thursday. Sat. Yeah, sat. What day?
Saturday.
Saturday. How many days?
7 days.
7 days. How many students? 9.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop us there, but that video goes on to show the teacher giving really good directions, checking comprehension with the learners, modeling lots of good teaching to get them to do the exact same activity. So in that teacher training toolkit, you have the reading discussion questions. You're going to have a video with the video reflection questions. And then at the end, you're always going to have your turn. So now that you've had a chance to go through this little training, take it and try it out yourself and then reflect back on how it went. So again, these are meant to be kind of little snapshots of what training looks like and what different topics that people would want to get training on. People can do it independently. They can partner up and have somebody to go over the reflection questions with. They can do it in a small group, in a cohort. These resources are really meant to be used in any way that works best to support your program. So again, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to get us to the website. And then I'm going to share again. So if you click on that Educators tab, go down towards the bottom, Teacher Training Toolkit. And here is where you will find all of those teacher training toolkits. So you'll have the paper and then you'll have the videos. So we have giving directions, checking comprehension, teacher talking time, and error correction and feedback. And all of those are available on our website. All right, so to bring us back to the PowerPoint, this is the end of the presentation. So I just have some takeaway questions that people can answer in the chat boxes. So thinking about out of all of the resources that we've gone over for today for training volunteers, training teachers for your own professional development, we had the teacher training toolkit, we have classroom videos, we have the online class, we have the tutor tips and the ESL instructional support kit. So lots of different free resources. So thinking for you, for your program specifically, what resources are going to be the most helpful and why? And then how will you integrate these resources into classrooms and trainings at your site? So thinking about and reflecting on those questions, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and then people can respond in the chat box. And we have just a couple minutes left, so I can go ahead and open up the question and answer and see if there are some questions that I can get to right now. And we'll stop right at, well, 2 o'clock my time, but 3 o'clock Eastern time, so that everybody can get done on time. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. But if anybody wants to respond in the chat, let's see what we've got. The classroom videos, so I'm hearing people saying lots of videos. Tutor tips, great for busy volunteers. Good. The kits, yes. Oh, and a tip, if you're using the kits, it doesn't take that, it takes maybe 30, 40 minutes to assemble one kit, but then you get a chance to use it a lot. If you have volunteers assemble the kits if you're planning on using it with the volunteers, because then that gives them some ownership over the materials, some familiarity with it, and it's a great use of their time. All right, I'm seeing more about the toolkits, instructional kits. Oh, kits. I totally agree. Anything that's easy to take and use. All right, oh good, and I'm glad I see at least somebody else who's really interested in that low literacy. There's just not a lot of resources out there for professional development for people who are working with low literacy, and so we really wanted to make sure that that was something that was available to people. All right. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open the question and answer and see if there are a couple of things, a couple of questions that I can ask, and then I think we're going to wrap up, and there will be one last survey, a survey sent out to respond about this, and Lindsay will give you some more information about that. Okay. I see, how do you sell volunteers on taking this 3-hour course when they're already volunteering their free time in the classroom? What's their incentive? So what I think the incentive is, and how we always sell it to volunteers, is volunteers are there because they want to help learners. Like, people generally aren't volunteering for any other reason. They want to help people. And so framing it as, you can do this course, this is going to give you some really valuable skills that are going to make you more effective in the classroom. Some tools you can use when volunteering so that it's easier to work with the learners, so that you are better able to respond to their needs. So framing it as maybe not this is something that you have to do, but if you do this, you're going to be able to help the learners more, because that's why people are volunteering. Yep, you can receive the certificate even if they aren't based in Minnesota. We do offer continuing education units. Continuing education units are only for people who are based in Minnesota, because that's our Minnesota licensure. The certificate can be printed off by anybody, wherever you're at. Do you have videos of all of the ESL levels? Yes, we do. We have videos from the pre-literate, low beginning, up to advanced. The teacher talk productive struggle videos can be found. Oh, that one, the productive struggle, that was a snippet of the video from the CCRS in the ABE classroom video, the intermediate or high intermediate. That's teacher Jessica Jones, who is one of our phenomenal teachers at the Minnesota Literacy Council. All right. And let's see, I think I have time for one more. Okay. Will this webinar email the participants helpful links if we were unable to jot everything down? Yes, I believe that COABE will be sending out links, an email with all of the links, and I've also shared a PDF of the PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint, that PDF has everything embedded in it. All right, so if I didn't get any to your questions, what I'm going to do is COABE will send me them, and I'll send you individual answers so that we get a chance, everybody gets the chance to be responded for too. So if you still have questions, please keep typing them. I'm going to go ahead and close that, and then we're almost at time, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lindsay to wrap up. But I wanted to thank you all so much for joining. This is really fun. It's super exciting to be able to share all of the resources that we have that we've been working on creating. Hopefully these will be things that will be helpful to you in your own teaching, helping your colleagues, helping your volunteers. And please let us know, go into the Minnesota Literacy Council website. My email is embedded in the PDF. Send me a message if you have any other questions. I'm really happy to respond. Yeah, and have a great rest of your day and happy teaching. All right.
Thank you, Andrea. As we close out this webinar, please take a moment to let us know your thoughts via a very brief poll that I'm going to share right now. We appreciate your input and thank you for joining us today.